One day during dance class, my dance teacher made me do this really hard move that I couldn't do at all. I look over at my other friends and guess what? They did it easily. I think, oh my god, why am I so bad at this? Why can't I do this at all? Why am I so bad? I go home and practice, and I come back, and I do it perfectly. I look over at my other friends, they do it even better. How do they do it? What I'm doing here is comparing myself to other people, and I'm just bringing myself down because of this. Now, this is today's topic. It's why is comparing yourself to other people bad? Because if you compare yourself to other people, that makes you just think how bad you are. Whenever you're not thinking about what good things you can do. We should definitely care because if we compare ourselves to others, then we can see our growth and how much we have come. But comparing ourselves to other people can lead to people not believing in themselves and just giving up. And we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't just give up on something we tried so hard on just because if someone else is better or we think they're better. Now, people shouldn't compare themselves to anyone at all. I learned this from my friends and my peers that just because other people are better doesn't mean we can't get better. This leads to today's topic on how we shouldn't compare ourselves to other people at all. Today, I will talk about the problem of this, the effects, and finally the solution. Starting off with the problem. According to BetterHelp, a big problem with this is that when you compare yourself to someone who you think is better, you see yourself as someone who can't do this or can't do that. This problem can happen anywhere and at any time. People are social and compare themselves to other people daily, and they don't even know they're doing it. And that's really bad because that can bring your confidence level really low. People's confidence can go really low when they're comparing themselves to someone better, and they aren't looking at what they're good at, but they're only looking at what they're bad at. It can also lead to envy and resentment to someone even though the other person did nothing wrong. According to Haiklon, people with low self-esteem are people who compare themselves to other people a lot. This leads to a negative social comparison, which lowers their self-esteem even more. These problems and mental health issues in children is why we shouldn't compare ourselves to other people at all. And even if we think we're better than them, don't compare yourself to other people at all, because if you think you're better than someone else, your confidence level can go really high and you can be really cocky to them. And being rude to other people just because you think you're better than them isn't really good as to if you're comparing yourself to people and you think you're worse. Now moving on to the effects of this. According to FS blog, not only are we unhappy, but the other people might be as well, because if you're better than something than they are, they might be comparing themselves to you, just like you're comparing yourself to them. But that isn't good as well, because then you're both unhappy with what you're doing, and maybe they're better at something, and then they think you're better. At worst, when we compare ourselves to others, we end up focusing our energy and bringing them down instead of raising ourselves up. Some people do this, and this isn't a good thing. Comparing ourselves to others also allows them to drive our behavior. And we try to act more like them and copy everything they do. Now, we can't copying everything they do isn't good, because we might be like, oh my god, they're so much prettier than I am, or they're so much better than I am, and they try to copy everything they wear, copy how they act, acting how they do, talk like them. And if the other person realizes or sees this, they might get suspicious, and it is not good. And we should just be our own person as well. And onto the solutions. So some ways to solve these problems is to be aware of your triggers and avoid them. Limit social media and focus on your strengths, and use comparison as motivation. First, according to BetterUp, you should be aware of what is making your confidence go so low, and try to avoid what that is. If a person is making your confidence go down because they are better than you don't have to necessarily avoid the person, but avoid the things they're better at than you at. Don't think about it so much. And secondly, you should definitely limit social media. Social media is what a lot of people use, and whenever they scroll on social media, they see people posting videos about like a sport that you do, or how pretty they are, or something like that. But when some people see this, they see that person as so much prettier than them, so much better at this sport than they are, or something like that. But this isn't good at all, because then this can also bring your confidence level really low again. Limiting social media will force people to stop looking at those people and maybe have them think about themselves instead. Thirdly, focusing on strengths instead of what we're bad at can boost their confidence level. If we think at what we're good at, then we can look at the person we're comparing ourselves to say, yes, just because you can do that, or you're better than this way, doesn't mean I can't be better than you at something else as well. Lastly, if you can't help comparing yourself to other people, you can at least use comparison as motivation. Only a few people do this, but when you compare yourselves to people that are better, you might make them work better, get better than them, or work to be as good as them. So if you think someone else is better, you're like, oh, I really need to be as good as them, or try getting better. You can use that as motivation. Now, going back to how I would always compare myself to other people during dance class, this wasn't good for me at all, because I would think myself as the worst in the class. I explained the problem about comparing yourselves to others, the effects and the solution. Now, don't be like how I was before and how I would compare myself to other people in dance class. Don't be like that.